Yeah. Homeboy Sandman and your boy Ovale.
All right, our next featured performer is a stand-up comedian and improviser. He's appeared on MTV, been at New York Comedy Club, the Astoria All-Stars Show, Upright Citizens Brigade. He is a spoken word performer and a performer in Birthright Israel Presents Monologues. He was formerly known as Richard James. We welcome him now as Boris Zilberman!
Thank you very much, everybody. Can we just have another quick round of applause for the open micers earlier? The open micers. My man in the red, what was your name? Anthony. After Anthony talked all close to the mic, he made you listen. After his thing, my friend leaned over to me, a guy friend, he goes, Boris, do you hear that? That's how you get laid. Do your thing, man. Yeah, I was formerly known as Richie James. There's a story behind that because my name is not Richie James, my name is Boris Zilberman. You guys might notice that's a Russian name. And I am Russian, I'm from Russia, but I don't actually speak very much Russian. I speak like what you call kitchen Russian, stuff you learn as a little kid, like, pass the juice, do you want more chickens, it's basic stuff like that. So, I never really learned how to do it, day-to-day conversation in the real world so much, I only ever spoke Russian with my family, so that's why I don't like Russian strippers. They all sound like my mom to me. Yeah, that doesn't work, believe me, I tried. I say this, and people don't believe me. People don't believe me. They say, well, surely, Boris, you must speak enough Russian to talk a girl into bed. And I'm like, I don't speak that much English. Unless the girl is already very, very close to the bed. And it's just like, come on. I can do that in Brazil. I can do that in Russian. But I didn't realize this until I went out and started meeting different types of girls. Apparently, women find Russian very sexy. This is, I know, I didn't believe it either. And so when I'm talking to girls sometimes, they'll talk to me and they'll say, Boris, could you just say something in Russian to me? And so I look them straight in the eye and I stroke their hair a little bit. And I lean in really close and I go, and she's like, wow. Boris, that was beautiful. What did you say? And I look her right in the eye and I go, I said, baby, your eyes twinkle like the stars and your hair flows like a raven river in the moonlight. And she goes, really? Say some more. And I'm like, shit. That doesn't always work out. My dad was a cool old Russian guy. He was original, I was actually born in Russia, and my whole family was. And so he tells me these stories. He tells me these awesome stories from when he was growing up. Like he played tuba in the Russian Red Army band, so he wouldn't have to march as much. Because if you play the tuba, you can't march. You can march if you play the trumpet. Not the tuba though. Have to stay still. He drove a tank. He fired M16s. He smoked cigars since he was like 15 years old. What am I going to tell my kids? Look how many apps I had. I could go to all of these porn sites, every single one. I could take every single subway train, except on weekends. It got really confusing on weekends. That's the thing, sometimes I just feel so disconnected from the country I was born in, from Ukraine, part of Russia at the time. That's the country where I was born in. I feel like I'm just so removed from it. And I think the reason is because when you grow up in this country, you develop all these like first world problems, you know, stuff that other people in the world couldn't possibly relate to. Like a couple days ago, I was trying to watch TV, and I realized they had 1998 Adam Sandler classic Big Daddy on Netflix DVD, but not Netflix streaming. I flipped the fuck out! I have to wait 2 days? Flipped out. And I realized, I had a moment of realization, because I realized that that is when I was missing that connection to the old country. I think there might be some people here that have that experience, and they agree with me. Every son of an immigrant eventually has that moment where they think about where they've come from, and they think about their family. And I thought about my grandfather, and I thought, if my grandfather were here with me right now, he would kick my ass. Because of what I do, the way I am, the way I interact with people. Let me give you guys an example. I was reading a book by Russian classic author Fyodor Dostoevsky, The Brothers Karamazov, one of the great classics of our time, one of the greatest books ever written. Kurt Vonnegut said, if you want to know everything you need to know about human nature, about human history, about the way we interact with each other, read Shakespeare's Hamlet and Dostoevsky's The Brothers Karamazov. And I was reading that book, and in the beginning, the father character, Fyodor Pavlovich, they're telling a story about him, and there's this beautiful line, and it says, the story may have been exaggerated, yet it must have been something like the truth. And I think, what a beautiful line. And then the next thought I had was, I better put that in my Facebook profile so people will think I'm smart. And maybe someone will want to sleep with me. True story. And then the ghost of Fyodor Dostoevsky came up out of the book and slapped me right in the face. True story, it happened.
Yeah. Homeboy Sandman and your boy Ovale.